Hello, this is Alex with Banging Your Head Until the Right Answer Pops Out. Okay, so here we are. We went over our next steps before, and here we are at this one right here. Create a free RDS SQL Server instance. I've got an asterisk here because nothing is totally free. You have time to use things for free, and eventually they will charge you. And depending on the options you select, it might cost you money right off the bat. So we've got to be careful with those things. And from a couple episodes ago, we set up our budget. So if it goes over our budget, which is only like $8 or $8.50, we'll get a notification, and then we can take action on that. Okay, so we're going to create a RDS server-ish service for SQL Server, since that's what I'm familiar with. And our first step here is to click on RDS, or if you haven't been there before, which most likely you haven't, if you're watching this video, type in RDS in the search and click on RDS. Alrighty, so here we go. We are at the dashboard. It gives us the opportunity to create a database. If we click on databases, you'll see that I don't have any databases at the moment. Also, you might notice that up here it's my admin user and not my root user. So that's something to keep in mind. We don't want to be using our root user all the time. Okay, so we just click on Create Database. We're going to leave Standard Create on. We're going to change this to SQL Server. In order to do any free version, you have to do SQL Server Express Edition. There is an option somewhere where you can check off, and it will only allow you to do free tier items. There's a version here. There's a whole bunch of different versions, but we're just going to leave this at SQL Server 2017. It's relatively new, and it's certainly useful. We're not going to do dev tests. We're going to do free tier. One of the things that I kind of miss, though, is that I wish they had SQL Server Developer Edition. Okay, moving on. We're in the settings section here, and we're going to change this to experimental A, just to give it a name. Master username is admin, master password. I'm going to give it my own password. Security is always a double-edged sword. If we use one of those generated passwords, it's certainly secure. Oh, it doesn't like my password. That's what it is. I used a character it did not like. In regular SQL Server, I can do that particular password. But anyway, moving on. Burstable, whatever. For our purposes, we don't really need to be too concerned about that. These are the different Ssd types, or we could use magnetic storage. We're going to leave this on general. If you do provisioned, it will probably cost you money. It's got enable storage auto-scaling on, but we have to be careful about that. If we dump a whole lot of data in here, it will increase our storage and it will pop us out of the free tier. Okay, so it's going to create a default VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. We're going to leave that for now. Later on, we're going to explore all that kind of stuff. But we do need to click on this. Without that, you just buzz right on by, and then you're going to wonder, why can't I connect to my SQL Server? Well, it's because down here, public access is turned off. So let's turn that on. Now we've got VPC security group, choose existing. I don't think I have one. But So anyway, let's create a new one. That's all right. We're going to have to touch this security group to prevent people from accessing our SQL Server that are not us. Availability zone, it doesn't really matter. You can see I'm using Ohio here, which is US East. I'm going to leave that at no preference. 1433 is the default port for SQL Server. That also means that all the hackers know that too, but we're going to do something that it's not going to matter how much they want to hack. Okay? Down here, enable Microsoft SQL Server Windows authentication, but in order to have that, we'd have to have an Active Directory server, and we don't have one right now. And it's not really my typical expertise to be able to set up a Active Directory server. Okay, so down here though, here's the important bit. It's free-ish. You get 750 hours, 20 gigabytes of storage, and that's all good stuff. Okay, so I think we've got everything right. Sorry for the scrolling. I do that when I want to do a quick check. So we're going to click Create Database. Of course. Usually I do something like this. So that's alright. Live and learn. That kind of an issue is not the biggest deal in the world. Alright, so we're going to hit Create Database. And it's going to take a few seconds. Let's get rid of that. Okay. Here it is. And that's pretty nice. Right now, we haven't installed SSMS or anything like that, so we can't connect to our database. But we have a working instance, and I'm not going to leave it that way. I've watched videos where people say, "Huzzah! I've created this thing, and that's great." They created a server and they never access the server, which kind of begs the question: hey, does it really exist? Okay. So we're going to break off right now. It's still taking a few minutes to launch. And our next video will be launching an EC2 server where we're going to install SSMS. And then we're going to connect to our database from that SSMS server. Well, SSMS program. All right. Thanks. Bye.